These are my favorite boulders from January and February of 2021 at Oso Climbing Gyms in Dallas, Texas. I am a V3, V4-ish climber. I'm just starting to throw that V4-ish in there. Yellows at Oso are V2 to V4, and greens are rated V4 to V6.
I'm getting better with my neck strength and using my heel hooks to like help me move up.
You heard it there first, ladies and gentlemen. I'm feeling stronger in my hips and heels. This is a climb I worked real hard on, and it's really directional. All of these holds through the middle are side pulls, and you just have to keep your hips into the wall and pointed the right direction. Work your feet up, and just make it happen. I don't actually send this. I do get one hand on the finish, and then I take my biggest fall that I've ever taken in bouldering. But the pads are good and thick, and I felt great. So let's watch what happens.
Stick it. Let it. That's it. There we go. Oh!
I was just too tired that day. That was my last climb. I called it quits. And sadly, next time I got to the gym, the setters had reset it. But that's what happens at Oso. They're changing everything every couple weeks. As promised, this is one of those V4 to V6 greens. Has real tricky starts. You have to get your body in just the right position. The setters have really been focusing on body position over brute strength, and it's been humbling for a lot of us. This one's really nice because you just move your way through, and none of the holds are really that brutal. They just have to use your feet and have to use your body position and have to use your hips, and you get rewarded with these big heavy jugs. I'm no setter, but if I had to guess, it gets its green rating mostly from the start, not necessarily the bulk of the climb. This ended up being a climb that made the cut because I flagged with my arm. It just came out of nowhere. My body said that's what I needed to do to move on. So here we go. This is the slab wall, so it's a little pitched in. You'll notice here's the left arm flag. My body told me that I needed to stack my weight above my hips, so that's just the position I found myself in. Kind of a weird one. This next climb, I never actually got around descending. I tried it every single time I walked in the gym, and I just could not get over this crux in the middle. I really love the action of the swingy, heavy flag in the first starting move, but this little pull-up bar right here is just so rough, and then the hand hold up top is not very rewarding. Ugh. Try to stick it, but I never am able to make that move. Here's another project I worked on a whole lot. On the left, I'm practicing, and on the right, I walk in after having my baby strong and send it. It's all about getting your hips in. You can see here on the right, I tuck my hips in here, and that makes all the difference. On the left, my hips are out, and I'm just trying to do everything I can to stay on the wall. But on the right, I get those hips in there, and that's where my biggest growth is coming as a climber. I'm learning that my power comes from my core, my hips, not my arms and not my lats, my core. Sorry for this next one being a vertical video, but I really loved this climb. It's a nice and accessible roof. Not a really hard starting position, but definitely tough. I cut my feet on accident. Obviously, you don't want to do that, but you can see my heels are really starting to come into play. Staying engaged with my feet and my toes is opening up these roofs and these more inverted climbs. It's helping me keep my hips in, and that's where I keep saying my growth in. The feet are connecting my hands all the way through, and the core and the hips tie it all together. But let's get back to the slab wall. This is another green V4 to V6, and body position is key. The slab never lets you just pull your way through it, so you have to find out exactly where to go and how to shift your weight around. I'm getting better with these crossover movements with my little tiptoes, and then thinking about how to angle my body and find a heel that keeps those hips in. Like every time I see these holds on the wall, the climb looks easier than it ends up being. But these really geometric ones are just, they're nice and flush for pulling on, and they're bigger than crimps, so I don't want to call them that, but they're just not a whole lot to grab onto. And you have to pull on them from the right direction. You can see in the middle of the climb they're all side pulls, so there's nothing you really get to just grab onto and yank. You have to squeeze towards the midline. It's a thing that I've learned a lot in yoga. A lot of times you can find that power by squeezing towards the midline, and this climb is a really great example of how that can carry over to the wall. Sorry for another vertical video, but I really, really love this climb. This was the first time that I went to a yellow and green meetup. At Oso, they have meetups for the different color groups, and there's a coach that helps us with the climbs and wrangles everybody and keeps us together. But it's a really great way for us to get supportive and get a send train going so that you can watch someone do the beta right in front of you and then jump on the wall right behind them and crush it. This was one of those examples. I watched a couple people do this climb. I couldn't do it, I couldn't do it, I couldn't do it, and boom, send train. I'm there. This next climb is really deeply pitched back, and you can't tell from the camera angle, but if you look at my belt, you can see that I'm certainly leaned back quite a bit. With any of these climbs that you have to go up an incline, it's all about keeping your feet engaged. And fortunately, the handholds on this one are pretty forgiving. And as long as you keep your toes digging into the wall, they're pretty easy to hang on to. You do have to pull pretty damn hard though. This next climb I never had the pleasure of finishing, mostly because of the hip flexor and mobility move required in the middle. I run a lot, so I end up with some pretty tight hips. This fun action of digging into that right leg, grabbing up here, then you have to get your left foot up on the tip of that volume. I wasn't ever mobile enough to get it where it needed to be. I never sent this next one either, but the move was really fun, so I did it a whole lot. Hanging upside down and digging your feet in and trying to get your hips in enough to work on this lip feature. The setters always take full advantage of it. Love this next climb so much. The move in the middle is great, but this video is me exhausted where I fall, and then I'll show it again later when I'm strong with better technique. You can see how loose my body is off the wall, and that's what improves when I start climbing stronger. Since it's pretty hard to watch the hips from a video, keep an eye on my knees. My knees are almost robotic, and you can see the shifts and pivots and twists and intentional movements. Instead of them being kind of hiccupy, they are swift and tidy. My form cleans up at the top when I stop taking the beginning moves for granted. Big pull, leg, hip twist, right arm, hip twist, left arm, right leg. But let's go back to that big roof and work on another project that is really tough for me. This was the first climb I ever checked the setter's calendar, and I found out when they were changing it, and I took a couple days off and came in strong the last day I knew it was going to be hung. Spoiler alert, I sinned it. I end up twisting the beta a little bit off of this from some recommendations from some friends, but this move right here just tapped all of my resources. Anytime I was able to get through it, I get to the end and I just have no more strength left to do the simple final couple moves. And this attempt is no exception. That's my buddy Brian there rooting me on. I practiced this crux over and over and over again. I talked to the setters, I talked to my peers at the gym. I just kept working on it. This was the beta that I ended up liking the best. I think I kind of skipped a move when I ended up sending it. So this is the best beta of the first half. And cutting feet like that was just the best, most efficient way I was able to do it for my body at my mobility level. But this ended up still being just way too taxing. I also like the order of the hands here. I get this move off, I get this next move off, get my feet up, but I just don't have anything left to get to that finishing hold and just really send it, especially after missing that toe. I ended up meeting some guys that came up with a new set of beta where you kind of skip that really strong move on the left and just go straight up the right side. So here is the broken beta that I ended up doing to send it. But ascend is ascend, and this project was something that I really, really, really worked on. Cutting feet is never a good thing, but not losing composure always is. Learning how to time that swing and get the toe exactly where it needs to be to hit that land to re-engage with the wall is a skill in itself. And those are my favorite climbs from hours of footage during winter of 2021. I had a baby, so I ended up taking a couple weeks off, and I thought I was going to come back weak, but it actually gave my body time to recover, and I came back stronger than ever, and I really feel like it helped me break through some plateaus. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this was fun for you. I hope you got better, or I hope you enjoyed critiquing my beginner technique. Whatever. If it brings you value, that's awesome. I have a bunch more climbing videos, so poke around and check those out. And all kinds of other fitness stuff too. Yoga, running, and I'm a big Mark Rebier fan, so if you like those videos, there's some stuff in there that you can't find anywhere else. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you soon.